Tim Andrews. Why is he here? Oh, for Christ's sake, this should be something special. And by special, I mean Welcome to Potato Sandwich, the show that is as interesting as, well, a potato sandwich. Please welcome Greg Russ and Tim Andrews.
Yeah, I saw some breakdown of all the professional sports and where the fans land on the political spectrum. Baseball's pretty moderate.
Yeah, you would think so.
Tennis, very liberal.
Yeah, of course. Rich, elite.
On the other side, NASCAR, obviously, but golf, which I guess makes sense, is conservative.
Yeah. NFL, all those guys are super religious.
Yeah, NFL, though, as far as the fans go, also moderate. Baseball, NFL, pretty moderate. Basketball, a bit more liberal. WNBA, totally liberal.
Yeah, because people watch the WNBA because they think they're supposed to.
Yeah, so they can tell their friends.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the WNBA game last night against the Liberty and the Dream.
I got great stuff for social media.
Yeah, the final score was 12-11.
No dunking.
I should.
One lady's no longer in the league, or is she hurt? The one that's always fighting with the other one, the Caitlin Clark's nemesis,
Angel Reese.
Yeah, did she get hurt or something?
Well, she shit on her team. She said the team, this is me paraphrasing, but it was pretty much, this team sucks ass. I don't want to play for them.
Okay.
And then they suspended her for a few games. She may have also gotten hurt. I don't know. I don't follow it so closely, but.
What entitlement. What ridiculousness. You don't bitch about your team. You just play. God. And that's not just it, because of it's not just her. That's an entire generation of people. In anything they do, they think they deserve things, and then if they don't want to be part of a team, they want to be. I'm the best, and I want the rest of the team to be as good as me because I want to win, and I want to get a trophy, and I want to have a ring, and I want to do this.
And if you're playing a sport, I get it. You want to win.
Yes,
but you're not gonna. If you really think about team dynamics and the way that goes, I think there's already a problem with some stars. They go in the locker room, they get special treatment, they act better than the other players. It's not really good for a cohesive team. And then you go to the press and you start shitting all over the team and the other players. And yeah that's really going to take you to a winning spot.
So how you doing? I like filling in. Am I filling in? I'm sorry that I'm a little nasally. I know it's probably coming through.
That's fine. Now you sound like me. I should try to speak not as nasally, more in the back of my throat.
You should be very from your diaphragm speaking.
I'll speak from here. This is my diaphragm. Is it actually lower? I can't tell if I'm purposefully lowering my voice or what are we going to say?
I'm doing this and also working on the show production notes today since Jared is taking yet another one of his 8,000 days off a year.
Don't be jealous. You could take the days off also.
I'm not jealous.
Some resentment.
Why do you think I'm jealous? You think I'm Autumn? I'm jealous.
Is Autumn jealous? I haven't really known Autumn to ever be jealous.
Or not jealous, but just like she complains a lot on this podcast, right?
Yeah, it's kind of an outlet for her.
Good for her.
It's not complete complaining. She, expresses her feelings on the show, the radio station, the industry in general, and then her newfound political beliefs that I told her she's 7 years too late for.
What do you mean by that?
Just her shift more to the left when she previously wasn't engaged in politics at all. Bernie Sanders in 2016. That's what she feels like she is, where she is now.
Isn't that funny? Because we were dating when the Iraq War started, and that would have been 2004. And I remember complaining and bitching about Bush all the time. And she's was sort of more aligned with Eric and being very pro-regime.
Mm-hmm.
I was more aligned with her dad, that I didn't like Bush and I didn't think these wars were necessary. And I was complaining about it. And she's like, well, I just think that maybe you ought to give him a chance. Maybe she was right. I don't know. But it turns out she wasn't.
I was so disengaged then. And I longed for those days, I think. I just did not give a shit. I did vote in the 2000 election, and I voted for Gore. Gore lost. I didn't really care. The Bush-Kerry election, zero interest. Didn't like either of them. Didn't go vote. Didn't feel guilty that I didn't vote. You can argue that you need to be politically engaged a bit, just understand what's going on. But I didn't. I scared about drinking and going bowling. The 24-hour bowling alley that was off of Piedmont Road, where you could still smoke cigarettes inside.
I remember that. Yeah, you could. I loved those places. Bowling alleys should be a carve out. You should be able to smoke, unless there's kids in there, but you should be able to smoke in a bowling alley.
Yeah, have the late night smoking, but it's just, I guess, been banned everywhere.
Yeah, it's bad. Let me take my vape out and kill myself with these Chinese chemicals.
Is Atlanta still? Do they still allow smoking in bars? I know that there was you can smoke in here after 10 p.m. if the establishment said so. Does that still exist? Do you know, or is it just completely outlawed at this point?
I don't think you can. Let me check. No indoor smoking is allowed in any bars in Atlanta.
Oh, so they actually passed some law.
Yeah, in 2020 they got rid of it out. They got rid of it outright.
That was one of the great things about Atlanta. You could still smoke. Even the airport had the smoking lounge longer than any of the other airports.
Until that Westmoreland dick came along.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, he's a city councilman. He's a piece of shit. They had all that space in there where, it's the busiest airport in the country. So people get off, international people, or you go in there and you sit and relax. And it never spilled out into the, because the doors were closed. It never spilled out into the terminal. But they wanted more space for restaurants and shit. So they got rid of it.
Yeah. What did they put in there? An O'Charlie's?
Yeah, something O'Charlie's. Something that'll fail, obviously. I just don't like those meddlesome. Oh, it's bad. Well, people do it. And you flew all the way from, Paris, and you're connecting in Atlanta, and you have an hour or two to kill. You're going to make this person go outside and then go through security again and have them grab your balls. I hate that shit.
Yes, because it's unhealthy and secondhand smoke kills. And you walk by one of those rooms and you breathe in a few molecules of smoke, even for a second. Emphysema, cancer, autism.
All that wonderful exhaust you're smelling from the planes and the fuel that's leaking from the pipe and they're filling it up, that won't hurt you at all.
I do love that smell. The smell of jet fuel.
And then your clothes smell like that when you get to wherever even if you have clean clothes in your bag, they smell like the airplane.
Yeah, if you huff it. I do that sometimes. If you get to a hotel room and it has a certain smell to it, and you adjust to the smell and you can't smell it, just as your own home has a certain smell to it, that if you're gone for a while, you can come back and kind of gauge what it is. Probably not as strongly as somebody walks in for the first time, but I'll do that where I go into a hotel room. There's a smell. I stay, I go home. And then when I unpack my clothes, I kind of put them up to my face and breathe in deeply. I was like, yeah, that's what that hotel room smelled like.
Yeah. When I get home after being away for a extended period of time and I go, oh yeah, I forgot we have dogs.
Oh, so they really stink the place up.
Not really, but I mean, a dog in a house is going to smell. Dirty little beasts. That's why certain cultures don't like them.
Do they wipe their ass on the floor? Do they do that thing where they pull with their front paws?
Yeah, well, if you don't take care of them. You don't. Something's wrong with my dog's anal glands. Yeah, because you're not taking care of them.
The one time you had me take care of your cats, I went over and I think I hadn't cleaned out the litter box, and one of them had pooped like just outside of it.
Letting you know you're not doing your job.
Yeah, I cleaned it up. I felt really bad. I was like, oh no, what did I do? I slacked off. Tim trusted me to watch these cats.
Was that after Autumn broke up with me and left her dumb cat there?
No, I think you were still together. I think you were on a trip together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe we're in New York or something.
I feel like both of you were out together on some adventure, which brings us back to her political beliefs. I just think it's interesting that she's this engaged because for the most part, she was pretty apathetic about things. And I was really swept up in the Bernie movement the first time. I just thought it was exciting.
Me too.
I understood why Trump was elected. It's like you just had these candidates like, yeah, fuck you, everyone else. I'm sick of the way this is going. And I was trying to explain it to her one day. She's like, I just don't get it. Why would you want universal health care?
Yeah, why would you want that? Because it's so much better than the way it is now.
And I'm not saying when it does come up on the show, and she doesn't really go deep into her politics, but it just seems to be more thought and compassion for other people, which is not a bad thing. You can just use that at some point to say, I'm better than you because I care about people. And if you disagree with me, that means you don't care about people. It's like, that's not what that means. But if you're going to use it against me and just demonize me, then I can't really have a conversation with you. And she's not doing that. But I always worry that once people start to get into it, that's what sucks about it.
Were you on when she had that weird interaction with Eric?
I'd explain further.
I think you were on there. What were we talking about? I don't even remember the context we were talking about. Oh, seeing the Charlie Kirk video online. And she said she saw it on TikTok. And sometimes they end up crossing each other in a discussion where I don't think that either of them understands the point the other one's trying to make. And it ends up just being this weird back and forth.
Yeah, I was on for that.
So maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like I understood what she was saying and I understood what he was saying. And I don't know why there was a disconnect.
I think it is a lack of listening. I think on Autumn's part, there's a defensiveness that she feels like she gets shut down just by default. If she starts to express opinions, that her role on the show is to just do voices. And sometimes she wants to express things. So I think already being a bit defensive when Eric starts to disagree, maybe she's not fully listening and then digs in. And it's like, hey, if you actually both listen to each other, you would realize that you're saying sort of the same thing.
Yeah, sometimes though I think he's not listening because a lot more than the rest of us, he has a preconceived notion of what we're going to say or the reasons behind what we're saying.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of that is based on that he's known us for so long, but he still views us. And I could be off base about this, but he still views us that we're in a frame of mind that we were in when he first met us.
No, I totally agree with that. I think there's still this fear when it comes to me that I'm going to say something that'll get him in trouble. I was like, when's the last time I said something? There were two things I can think of I said on WSB that I shouldn't have said. One was Trump's first term when I was really just hating him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said something about, wouldn't it be cool if he had a heart attack at the podium and like slumped over? Because for somebody who's all about his image.
Yeah.
But I get that. It's like, don't fucking say that on the air. I understand. Rightly so. Reprimanded. And then the other thing was when that guy Ron Lester died, who was the fat guy in Varsity Blues. He went to my high school years and years before I went to North Cobb High School. And once that movie got big, he showed up at the games, like football games, and he's walking around. I was like, this is a weird thing to do. You have some newfound, small morsel of fame, and you decide to come back to your high school. So that was the first part of it. And then he came in on the regular guy show as a guest one day, and he demanded bagels. Like he was so like, where are the bagels? People told me there was going to be bagels. I don't know if he submitted a rider or what the fuck it was. So they sent me to get the bagels. And I spit in them. Like there was a bag of bagels, and I put a bunch of spit in there and kind of twirled the bagels around in the spit and handed the bag to him. And then he's on the air and he's calling out North Cobb again, saying shit about the principal of the school who became the principal my senior year, who wasn't the principal when he went to North Cobb like 6 years before I ever started going. It was a very strange thing. And I didn't really like the guy. But, it turns out he had depression, and I think there was a suicide attempt, and I think he just ended up dying of some sort of natural causes. But I didn't express much sympathy when he died, and I made that known on the air. And that's not nice either. He has a family who probably lives in the area.
I don't remember that. Did he get mad at you?
Yeah, it was still the weekend show, I think. Okay. Or maybe it was when we were on an hour a day. But okay, there's two instances of it. Going back to what you said, There's this fear, though, that I'm just going to come out and say something as if I haven't. The show's been on for what at this point? 11 years?
Well, full time since 2017.
Yeah, before that, it was
8 years.
And before that, I feel like the first weekend show was
2016. It was because I remember coming in here. Was it on a Sunday?
It was a Sunday. Did you start later because of your non-compete?
Well, no. I got fired, I think, on a Friday, and then the Sunday after, I came in and did the show, and then Cumulus freaked out and sent Cox a cease and desist, which I never really fully understood because my contract had expired in 2011. But apparently, if you stay with the company that after your contract expired, you're bound to it. And then I asked them, well, then how come you didn't pay me the money that you owe me? Because the contract when it closed was $95,000, and I certainly wasn't making that when you fired me. In fact, they had taken money away from me. And of course, can't screw that. And I could have gotten out of it for $1,500, but Cox wasn't going to pay that, and I understand that, fully understand that. They didn't want to do illegal crap, so I just did the podcast, and Eric paid me out of his pocket until my non-compete was up.
All right.
And then Cox hired me.
I don't know why they don't just back off on those things. They did something.
Well, they're
similar.
gone now. Unless you sign a contract, you don't have to be bound by them.
When I was at 99X, I had a contract. They took me off the air. Well, they kept me on weekends, but they took me off nights. I ended up moving to New York. And then a month after I moved here, not even a month, they got rid of 99X, but I had a contract that ran through that year. And when I was leaving, they said, hey, if you get a radio job, just let us know. It's not going to be a problem. And so I said, all right, I'll hold up my end of the bargain. I got hired to do weekends at a station up here, and I wrote them and let them know. And then suddenly it became an issue. And they said that the station was going to have to compensate them. It's like, this station's not going to pay to have me on. They're hiring me for weekends, and you're going to fuck my life up here. Because
it's another market. Why would that matter?
In a market they don't even own stations in.
Yeah. So how could they have any effect on it? Isn't it just the DMA, the local DMA? How could they have any effect on it?
That's a good question. I didn't, I never had an agent. I didn't have a lawyer look at this stuff. So I probably could have fought it. But I just reached out to Vanessa, who was dating and I think still is with one of the Dickey brothers.
Yeah, Lou.
And I wrote her and I said, hey, this is happening. Do you mind talking to Lou? And she wrote back and says, Lou says, don't worry about it. He'll make it go away. And it went away. So that was nice because it's like, why? What are you getting out of it? Are you just angry that I can't even understand the reasoning? And if the reasoning is we want to get some money, damn well you're not going to get money. Who's going to pay to have me on their station? For weekends.
Was that an MS broadcasting station at the time?
Up here it was, yes.
Yeah, and they're owned by whatever CBS used to. Well, it's CBS Radio and whatever they're called now, right?
Odyssey, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it all kind of came together.
And I can't see that Cumulus would have had contracts. Did you sign it originally with Susquehanna or did you sign it with Cumulus?
That's a good question. I think the original contract, because I was only there 3 years, I think the original was still the Susquehanna contract.
Even then, I can't see them being, I can't see that radio contracts being, they were lying to you because there's no way you had a non-compete that was nationwide. Even mine here, it's just the Atlanta Metro and the DBA.
It was a weird move. And I was like, hey, you asked me to do this. You said it wouldn't be a big deal. I trusted you. It was the GM of the station at the time who decided.
Who, Gary?
Yeah, it was Gary.
Gary Lewis.
It's very exciting for everyone listening right now. But Gary Lewis, who said it won't be a problem at all. Just let me know. I was like, hey, Gary, I got hired. It's really cool. They're going to have to pay us. It's like,
well, we can wrap it up. Yeah, you would have won. If you had had money to file a lawsuit, you would have won.
Well, luckily it went away.
Yeah.
It disappeared. But that conversation you're talking about, it was a bit weird. I also, just that video itself, the Charlie Kirk video, everyone seemed interested in watching it. I do side with Eric on that. It's like, I don't want to watch a person die.
I don't either. And I didn't want to see it. I saw it from far away and I saw him collapse and I said, that's enough. But then there kept being conflicting reports, and you do get faster news for the most part on X than you get anywhere else. So I was going through there, and there was just, they have the autoplay going, and I saw the close up of him, and then I saw it, and it was very very clear what had happened. And that's something like that. I don't care who it is. I didn't want to see it. And I used to watch those ISIS videos.
Yeah, I don't know how you watch those. That I watched the one Daniel Pearl video a long time ago, which didn't even show his killing. It showed him being held hostage, and then it showed his head severed, and they were holding his head up. And that alone.
That was grainy. These were well-produced, high-definition videos that this ISIS was producing in Iraq. And, I don't know why I watched them. I guess it was a different time. Maybe everybody, I don't know. But the video I saw on Wednesday it really did something to me in my mind. I didn't want to think about it anymore. And I haven't watched it since because there's no reason to. But it's just to me that was so senseless. And today they got the guy, I guess, which would shut. My thing is it shut up all the conspiracy theorists because there were so many, and everybody had from every agenda, from blaming Israel for no reason. When you don't have an answer right away, and you have social media, and then the lack of trust in regular media, people just start thinking whatever they want to think, and then it becomes a belief.
I saw something. It was an AI. It was a fake. Look at his ring. It was on his ring finger, and now it's on his pinky. And just the way frame rates work. If you pause in the middle of a frame, you could just have some blur where the ring kind of looks like it's on the next finger, like his hand's moving up a bit, but the finger with the ring on it, and it's kind of doubled up. And it's like It's like, okay, you probably went through, and it was very difficult to find that frame. You scrubbed until you found the thing that you needed, and now you're presenting. I didn't even read. I don't know what the reason to fake it would be. I guess to start a war, to rile people up, more division, which I do buy into the keep us divided and keep getting elected thing. But
but I don't think that it's I wouldn't have any idea who would be behind that. And they caught the guy. Now, last night, this is Friday that we're recording, so Thursday night, they did a press conference from Utah. It was at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and I watched it live, and everybody sounded nervous, like super nervous. And then we don't know we don't know where this person is. We have an idea who it is. We're not going to say his name. Kash Patel was supposed to speak last night, and he didn't. So you had the governor of Utah, who seems like a nice guy, a lot of stammering, like he's really jarred by all this. And because they didn't have an answer last night, the conspiracies kept coming. Oh, there was a plane that took off from here and it went to Provo and then it landed here and the transponder was turned off. And, this was an Israeli Mossad op. Come on. The guy got away. But the thing that they brought up today is that he was using a Discord group. So I think that there are probably people who helped him. And again, they didn't mention any of them today. And I think that that's a good thing. And if there were people, then it's a conspiracy. And then you find out where they got the money.
Well, we'll see where it goes. I feel like if there is a Discord group that just kind of urged him on, even if they had the thought that he wouldn't do it, they would be accountable in a way, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like they would charge those people.
Unless it was the FBI. Whenever they bring up that Gretchen Whitmer in what is she, the governor of Wisconsin or Michigan? I think one or the other.
I think it's Michigan, Wisconsin, right? Or is it
Wisconsin? Okay, one of those.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, she's a governor up there, and she talks like this.
It's Michigan.
Well, they did this whole thing where they tried to kidnap her. Well, the people that tried to kidnap her were egged on to do so by federal agents. And there was never a chance that she was going to get kidnapped.
Is that true?
Yeah.
So what was it a sting operation? Similar to Catch a Predator, where they posed as like just some people online said, yeah, go kidnap her. So they were looking for it the whole time.
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to verify that. But that's what I've always heard. kidnap. Google probably won't give me an honest answer. What's her name again? Gretchen Whitmer. Egged on. Nope, it won't give me an answer. It starts to. You ever notice that when you're using Gemini, it starts to, and then I know, I better not do that. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, sometimes I see an answer pop up, then it disappears. But Gemini, I feel as though not going to give you an answer out of all the chatbots. It doesn't get into that as much as maybe, say, Grok does. But
what ChatGPT says, some defendants claim entrapment, that those planning the plot were heavily influenced or pushed forward by informants or undercover agents. For example, in court, some lawyers argue that the role of the FBI undercover agents and confidential informants was so central that it altered the course of the planning in ways that might not have occurred without that involvement. Yeah, I think they just egged them on.
Well, that was always the argument with To Catch a Predator. It's like, hey, but the person chose to show up. I just wanted to shave her.
Yeah. Did you bring razors? I remember that one. Did you bring razors? Yeah.
And that show bothered me sometimes because there were people with clear mental disorders. There was one guy who was caught twice in the span of a week. Like he was arrested, let go, and he did it again. It's like, this guy's not right in the head. But you, at the same time, like, you can't justify what the person's doing. It's like, you thought you were meeting up with a 13-year-old girl. But I just wish that the first time he was arrested, somebody realized that and said, all right, we got to do a bit more than just arrest this guy and put him back on the street. There are developmental issues. I don't know how you handle it. One of the problems is you can't force people to go into any sort of treatment if they don't want to go into it. So, I realize in saying that it's not an easy answer, but it also just feels kind of shitty to send him out again and then arrest him again. But then again, he wanted to have sex with a 13-year-old. So.
Yeah, I know. And then they had that guy that they trapped in his house, and he ended up shooting himself while they were there.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, and a majority of those people that were caught and trapped on that show, most of them got off.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I don't know if there were plea deals, but yeah, I remember reading like follow-ups, and it never really led to much jail time.
And now there's a bunch of those. There's a bunch of them on YouTube. People do this. They bait them. They get them, and they beat them up, or they call the cops. And
is that real? They beat them up?
Some of them. And I think if they beat them up, they get in trouble, which as they should, because you don't beat people up. But I don't know. For entertainment, I don't find that entertaining. I don't like those people, and I guess it'd be cool if you were rounding them up and getting them, changing their trajectory. But I think most times, in spite of the internet, I think most times that stuff happens. It's because of a family friend or a family member. I don't think it's a guy 3 states away. But it must happen, and people must get away with it. And then to compare that to, the Jeffrey Epstein thing, or the Epstein Island, or whatever, the girls that were trafficked by him and Ghislaine, they ended up being paid very well for what they were doing, I think. So there's all sorts of weird areas. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that that's a reality.
No, it's a difficult area to operate in, to even decide, what's right. I mean, there's a very clear right and wrong in it, but legally and the way you should handle Epstein's different. I don't know if it was rich and powerful people taking advantage of other people, even if they were really paid well. It's like, I made stupid decisions into my 30s. If you came to me at 15 and said, I got a lot of money for you, all you have to do is show up and have, some sex with people. I don't even know how it was presented, but I do believe that you could easily manipulate people and fool them into coming to your island and, saying that it was their choice and we paid them well.
And we don't know, and we're never going to know. You're never going to know. Because he's dead, for one thing. And, you're not going to know. And none of the men that were there are ever going to get in trouble for it.
What do you think's on the list? Do you think I was going to ask, do you think the list exists?
No, there's no black book of so-and-so came here and this is who he paid and this is how much he gave and this is what he got. All that stuff was incidental. All that stuff just, hey, come on down. We're doing this. It's been sensationalized for a long time. And it ties into other fantasies and conspiracy theories like Pizzagate and all that nonsense that came out. You know, I watched a guy recently. You know that I'm very much into the Charles Manson, Tate LaBianca murders.
Yes.
Not that I'm into them and I think they're cool, you know what I mean? But I'm very fascinated by that because it turns out that Helter Skelter was 90% fiction. And then in 2018 or 2019, Tom O'Neill put his book out that he'd been working on for almost 30 years called Chaos, which tied it into the CIA or that Manson had always been let go because he was working for this and this MK Ultra program called Chaos, and that's why they did this. And then I started thinking, well, this makes a lot of sense. And so about a week ago, I discovered this guy. His name is Nicholas Schreck. He used to be involved with Anton LaVey in the Church of Satan. He married Anton LaVey's daughter, if you know who Anton LaVey was. And then this guy became friends with Manson when Manson was in jail and did a whole series of interviews with him that turned into this movie called something. It was about Charles Manson. And he did some rounds last year talking about breaking down what really happened. He goes, people create all these fantasies and conspiracies because they can't believe the simple truth. No, Charles Manson was not smart enough to have been working for the CIA. He was just a huckster. And what he alleges is that the house, are you familiar with the house? I know I'm going down a weird way.
The house
here. The Cielo house where Sharon Tate lived with Roman Polanski.
Yes.
And also this Jay Sebring guy who was a hairdresser, and this Wojciech Wojciechowski who was a loser who escaped Poland and was friends with Roman Polanski. They were all dealing drugs, and a lot of people in Hollywood and the music and film industry were coming there to buy drugs. And the two people that went that night to kill them just wanted money so they could get one of their friends out of jail because they'd been ripped off by Jay Sebring and Wojciech Wojciechowski. So in the end of the day, all this becomes is just, it was a drug deal, a terrible drug deal. And then the next day they went and did something else, tried to rob these people and then killed them. So Hollywood, all the studios and the mafia people, they all have these fixers. And then they just turned it into this sensationalist thing that people ate up because it was, the hippie cult and da-da-da-da-da, when really they were just incompetent murdering drug dealers. And that's not quite as sexy as what they turned it into. And then all the money that's been made off of that for 4 or 5 decades.
Oh, yeah, that became an industry. I mean, the whole thing becomes an industry.
Yeah. But and my point, I guess, overall is to hear that this Nicholas Schreck guy, who seems to be sort of a grifter and a weirdo himself, but he laying it out there saying, no, it wasn't that grandiose. It wasn't that much of a conspiracy. It was just a bad drug deal that got covered up. In fact, the newspapers in LA started investigating it that way until Bugliosi came in and said, no, it's Helter Skelter, and he wanted a race war and blah, 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 and all this nonsense.
Well, he ran with it, right? Manson.
Well, yeah. Who, Manson?
Yeah, I feel like he liked it. He ate it up.
They acted weird on purpose because he wasn't allowed to say what he knew. He had lawyers who were like, no, you can't say that. No, you can't say that. You have to do this. So he just went with it and went with it and went with it.
I mean, there was clearly something going on in his mind, a bit out there. But
all those music producers who said, oh, we didn't know him. He was recording albums. He was working with Terry Melcher, who was the producer.
Beach Boys, right?
Well, just Dennis
Brian Wilson. Dennis
Wilson. Yeah, Brian hated him. All the Beach Boys hated him except for Dennis, because Dennis wanted drugs and women, and he got 16-year-old girls with gonorrhea, and he had sex with them all the time.
Well, I mean, just the drugs alone, it makes a lot of sense at that point. It's like, man, come on, just deal with this guy because I need drugs.
Yeah,
it's hard to find a hookup, and then it's expensive. Give this guy I mean, drugs will drive a lot.
And Neil Young thought that that Charles and Dennis Hopper, those two guys, thought that Charles Manson was like Jesus Christ, and they loved him and thought he was very talented. Neil Young, but they all clammed up after the murders. They didn't want to be involved. Obviously,
I'd do the same thing if I had any association with the person. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Even
I don't know how I got in there, but people are always looking for a conspiracy. People are
okay,
always
it was
looking,
out of the Charlie Kirk videos, just the conspiracies that popped up in the short amount of time that's passed because answers didn't come immediately.
yes.
I mean, there were so many signs. Like this guy, I know once you get into conspiracy theories, people can always say, "Well, that was done on purpose. I was a red herring." But like the fact that the guy left with his gun, it's like that. Yeah, that slowed you down. Like if you're really a professional, you would have gotten a clean gun with the serial number scraped off, left
Yep.
no trace, no evidence, no DNA. Fired the shot, left the gun, got the hell out of there. But he like lugged it along with him, and became too burdensome and dropped it in the woods. I don't know. It still kind of amazes me that the video footage we get is so grainy. Like these
Yeah.
days, getting high resolution is not a difficult thing to do. And I know that the FBI is not going to release all the photos they have, but when they do release things, like I can't, that's not, what do you expect? I guess if you knew the person, like if I got a grainy picture of you, I'm like, I think that's Tim.
Yeah.
So
Or they using those pictures, and then you have 4chan going out and naming 10 people who look like the photo, and they're getting harassed. There's a video of a guy with long hair and a beard who's being held up by other people, and he's cheering. Now he's facing away from the stage where Charlie Kirk was, and they were sharing videos on X saying, "This guy, look at him celebrating," and they're trying to dox him. And in reality, that guy is yelling USA, USA, and he's cheering for Charlie coming on stage. And so that poor guy who was a fan, is being, dissected in the media, and he had really nothing to do with it.
there's no winning at that point either, because when the truth comes out, then the left goes after him for being a Charlie Kirk fan. But that's not as bad as what you're saying, where people chose a very specific shot of the guy and developed a story around it and then pushed that out into the world, and people ate it up.
Well, then the other thing that's happening, and this is just the Democrats are responsible for this. I don't care. I don't like it. I didn't like it when they did it, and I'm not liking it now. But they are responsible for this.
Well, demonizing, when you
No,
call
no,
people.
no. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I do think that the left has a lot of blame for this, because when you demonize people and call them the devil and fascists and Nazis, that some people like taking out really bad people, and that's what's needed. That's not a human being. That is a monster.
But I just want to clarify so people don't think I'm insane. What I'm saying is the Democrats are the ones who got people fired for misgendering people or calling somebody, a name or whatever. And the Democrats were the ones who got people kicked out of Hollywood or, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Now there are people online posting things like, I agree that he, or dancing on the grave. Well, I'll just say that. And dancing on Charlie Kirk's grave. And all of that is being dug up now and shared. In the past 2 days, I've seen at least 15 to 20 teachers who've been fired. People who work in academia above high school level are being fired. People who work for media outlets, people who work for pro football teams, they're getting fired because of the shit that they're saying online, because because Republicans on social media are finding all of this and sharing it. And I know people I have personal friends who are on one side like, oh, we got to go after the Democrats now. And then on the other side, they're like, oh, Charlie Kirk deserved it. And I don't live in that world. My brain doesn't work that way.
I don't
either. Fight with them either, but
it's hard to find your place when it seems like most people live in the either or worlds. I think the majority of people don't live in those worlds, but they're just not that vocal. And that's not what's presented online. Most people who are moderate in their beliefs don't go make videos to post on TikTok to share their moderate beliefs.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing.
I'm going to talk about a reasoned point of view here. I can see why. No, that doesn't exist. It's the person, the women. The women are the worst. Not women in general, but the women on social media who, they had to work themselves up to where they're going to cry, and then they make the video. I just can't because you don't know that guy. Why are you crying? It's terrible that he died. It's horrible. It's horrible. But, you don't know him. So you're being performative. Did it mean that much to you that he went from college to college debating people? No.
He single-handedly got Trump elected.
Yeah.
I do think he probably had a big part
he did.
getting youth vote out for Trump.
a lot of, and not just white kids, by the way, a lot of Gen Z and Gen Alpha kids really like that guy. So I didn't know much about him. I knew who he was. I knew what he did, but I don't spend time watching political stuff. And, I respect people who are trying to engage debate. I would watch clips of him engaging people, and he wasn't yelling back or fighting back. They're yelling at him, but he wasn't doing that. And then you get to, I lost my point of view. What was I saying? My train of thought. No, I was going to say that I don't follow that kind of thing. I don't live in that world where I'm listening to pundits all the time. And I'm learning now that thousands and thousands of these young people really liked him. So who knows?
There were plenty of things that he said that I didn't agree with. I wouldn't watch a lot of it either, but it would pop up in the feed. And of course, when you're posting clips, you can cherry pick what you want to put up there. Yeah. Not yelling in itself. I don't know if he was a person who wanted to yell or not, but even if you were, it's easy to just not yell and then post videos of people yelling and making them look crazy. But I do think that there was an attempt to have just discussion. That was the point of it. I don't think it's that clear cut. He clearly had an agenda he was pushing. He's able to prep in ways when people ask questions, because there's only a limited number of questions people are going to ask and variations of those topics. So you can always find ways to form your argument that kind of puts the other person in a corner and shuts them down. But, as far as debating goes, that is the whole point of it. And I think it's still important to have conversations instead of what happens, I think, quite often. And I see this on both sides, people who are extreme in their beliefs, but the level of demonizing that seems to happen on the left is when somebody does disagree with you, you just attack their personal character. And then at that point, it's done. It's like the other person has to become defensive.
Right.
It completely sidetracks whatever you were talking about in the first place. I guess it's a strategy. It is. When you really have no interest in hashing anything out and sharing ideas, then it's a great strategy. I don't necessarily like it. I do think that the demonizing of people is not a good thing. I stepped on your point and went in my direction, but I do think
we're reaching the same conclusion.
Well, calling people Nazis and Hitler and fascists when they're not necessarily. It's like there are elements of it sprinkled in there, but it's like nobody's forcing things on other people. And not to say there aren't people, if they had the power to force their beliefs on other people, that they wouldn't. But I think it's a step too far, and it kind of waters down, actual awful people when you do come across them. But with Charlie Kirk, man, there was plenty of shit that I didn't agree with, probably the majority of it. But when that news came out, I was in the office and there were people kind of dancing and laughing. And I didn't feel good that happened. And I didn't really like the reaction from the people around me. And I guess there's this big thing with TMZ now that they were live on the air, or at least they were showing when it was announced that Charlie had died, and you can hear cheers from another room and laughing. And they tried to pass it off as the people in the back were watching a car chase. And I don't know why you'd laugh at a car chase. But then people did time breakdowns when TMZ tried to spin it. And I can't explain exactly when went on, but TMZ misrepresented, the time. And then there are clocks in their newsroom and people say, you're saying it's this time. These people are laughing this time, but the clocks actually show it's the exact time that, it was announced that Charlie died. So the whole thing, I think people get so fucking deep into it. And it goes back to the conspiracies you're talking about. Are people just bored? Do we not have enough going on in our lives? I know the pull to be online. I mean, if you're going to be online, you're going to get into things like that.
But if you go into it knowing that you're not really going to find the answer to anything and you're just doing it to entertain yourself, if you know that, I think that's a safer way to do it.
But do you think people go into it doing that and eventually get pulled into it?
No, I think people go into it thinking they're going to make a difference.
Well, there is that.
They're going to learn something before someone else.
There's certainly the pull to want to make a difference, to have an impact. And you see that in just the people trying to solve cold cases, or even hunting down the Phillies Karen.
Uh-huh.
I was like, yeah, I fuck her, but you really need to figure out who she is? Do you really need to destroy her life? It's like there's this desire to teach people a lesson, which I've surely had in my life. I'm riding the train and somebody's being loud, blasting music. And I have fantasies of being able to like bust their knee open.
Yep.
Teaching them some sort of lesson. It's like, hey, don't bother other people. Go deal with your broken knee now.
Yeah. But then you can't do that. And if you did, they'd probably kill you.
And also, if I really could do it, would I want to do it? I don't. If somebody said, yeah, that's fine. Here's a baton. Smash that person in the leg. You're not going to get in trouble.
I always wish I had a ring that was also an what do they call that? An EMT, and it could just blast.
Oh yeah,
silently blast it when no one would see it, and just make it not work.
I see. That's how I would prefer to operate. Under the radar, people didn't know it was me. There was the time I was a valet and somebody pulled in and rolled down their window and said, "Fuck you," and parked their own car. Yeah. And I ripped up my styrofoam cup into small pieces and put it in their gas tank. And it's like, they're not going to know. It's going to cause problems in a little bit, not right now, and they'll never trace it back to me. I don't need the person to know that I was the one who fucked up their life, just as long as their life was fucked up for a bit.
Do you think it did?
I mean, styrofoam and gasoline. Did you ever play with that as a kid? It turns like napalm. It's like this gel.
It makes napalm, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the idea was it would clog up their fuel injector or something. I never actually did research on it. It seemed to make sense. It's like sugar in the gas tank.
I put sugar in someone's gas tank before, but that was 100 years ago.
What did they do to you?
Well, they didn't know I did
it. But I'm just saying, what did they do to you? Why did you do it?
Oh, I didn't like them. They were jerks. I can't recall the incident. I just know I did it for the same reason that I went around my town and did vandalism. I did things here and there. And yeah, I'm not proud of it, but it was fun.
That is part of, I mean, we smashed mailboxes. We would back our cars into people's yards and lay wheels, ripping up the grass. There was one guy's yard that we did that on, and the next week we went out to cause trouble, and he had put these big rocks blocking the curb so you couldn't back into his yard, and we just got out and moved the rocks and did it again.
Nice.
But it's really shitty things. Like, we didn't even know who this was.
Oh, I know.
There's no reason to fucking do that, but it's like, yeah, let's just go wreak havoc. To egg this person's house, and it turns out they're out of town, so the eggs stick on the house and their cars, and the paint peels because it sat there for a week. And then I'm stupid enough to tell people in school that we did that, and of course it gets back to them, and then they try to get me to pay, and I say no.
I like soaping windows. I did that in high school. I took shaving cream. I took shaving cream down late at night and sprayed it all over this one teacher's window, and then I forgot I did it, and I skipped school the next day. And I never got caught. What?
See, what drives that behavior?
I don't know. Just because I didn't like that person, and it made me feel good about what I was
No, just
doing.
in general. Like, that was a targeted attack. You didn't like that person with the gas, so with the sugar in the gas tank. A teacher, you'd use a shaving, but in general, it's like we just pick random houses and destroy their property. And I don't really know what drives it, but it seems to be built in because so many people do it. There is the part where it's like, all right, some of us are getting licenses now and we have some freedom. Let's go out. And I think the other part is like limited in what you can do. It's like, what are you going to do? Go to the steak and shake? It's like, yeah, okay, we can do that only so often. You can go see a movie. But for the most part, it's like, hey, we're driving around. We're kind of bored. And it's fun.
Let's set a fire. My one friend and I used to drive around he had a Chevette. And we would drive around with a 20 gauge and just shoot at birds and squirrels from the car. Like, didn't even get out.
Yeah, I don't think I could have done that. While it was a suburban area, it was probably too populated.
This was the woods.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assume you're in the woods.
Like, we shot a tractor trailer. They would go up and down the road, and we'd hide in these bushes at night, and we had a 22, and we would shoot at the back, the trailer part, and it would go pang.
But you're actually shooting a gun. I know it's a small gun, a 22, but
yeah,
actually shooting at passing trucks.
We weren't shooting at the tires or anything, but we would drop. Cars would go by. We would stand on bridges, or trucks would go by, and we would drop God, what were they? We'd make these gigantic snowballs and drop them on the windshield. And that wasn't smart. Or we would find expired cream and milk from behind the grocery store, and we would use those as projectiles, smash them on cars and stuff as they drove by. It was just something to do.
It was just passing the time. We would get like at a stop sign. This one doesn't even make sense because this one night was actually kind of fun. We got a bunch of dry ice, put it in a industrial bucket, like a big paint bucket. You know, you buy like multi-gallon paint buckets. We had one of those, and we broke open a bunch of glow sticks, yellow glow sticks. So it caused this bright neon smoke to be coming out of the bucket that was just sitting at a stop sign, and people would pull up and just kind of stare at it, and some people would get out and look at it. That one wasn't hurting anyone or destroying any property, but you know, putting a stuffed animal on a fishing line and pulling it across the street when a car came, that could fuck with people, slam on their brakes. I had a friend who figured out how to start heavy machinery with a flathead screwdriver.
Oh God!
And he would
go to do anything bad?
Go to construction sites and drive backhoes and bulldozers, and it got to the point where he decided he wanted to just destroy the construction trailer and took the backhoe up to it and just smashed the trailer, and then and then put the thing in low gear and jumped out, and it drove into a ditch and kind of just, you know, fell in a way that would probably be hard to get it out. And like, that's real. That's like thousands and thousands of dollars of damage and delaying construction projects. Same guy took a Bobcat. They left the keys on a little Bobcat bulldozer at a new house construction site. And it's a house that's built in a hill. So the front of the house is ground level, but the back has a deck that's above ground on these stilts. And he just went and knocked the stilts out so that the whole deck fell down.
Oh my God. Well, the most we ever did was shit in construction. And they're building new houses, we would go and shit.
Well, just by association, I guess I was guilty. But I had a moral line that I'd drawn in my head. I was like, I don't want to really destroy this stuff, but I'll watch you do it because it's funny.
Yeah, it's gonna make me laugh. You can cut this out, but how much more time?
Oh, no, I don't have to cut it out. We can wrap it up now. We're at 52 minutes. I know you got to get ready for the radio show.
Yes. I'm having more fun doing this with my stuffed up nose right now, to tell you the truth.
No, that's fine. But, well, thank you.
Thank you man.
For joining today.
When will it be out?
I'll probably, when I record on Fridays with the show coming up in like an hour and a half, I always feel like it's weird if I post it now, but it is a Friday and does it get lost on the weekend? So I don't know, today or tomorrow I'll post it. It'll be pretty soon.
All right.
We don't have a set day anymore. That's probably a problem.
Yeah.
People don't know when they're getting the show. It just kind of shows up.
Well, let me know when it's out so I can share it.
All right. I will send you a text. Well, thank you again for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I let Eric know that you'll be on at 3:30.
Okay.
Or 4. So just let me know.
Sounds good.